today I'm going to discuss why calories are important for fat loss. Now, of course, there are many ways in which you can approach getting in shape and dropping body fat. However, based off my own personal experiences and having worked with fat loss clients for the last 10 plus years, I've found that utilizing the calorie approach is probably one of the most effective and efficient ways to consistently dropping body fat and hitting your body transformation targets. Now, one of the most misunderstood things is that eating healthy doesn't guarantee fat loss. And ultimately, you need to understand the foods that you're putting in your body and what that means in regards to your results. So simply put, whether you're having pizza, ice cream and sweets, or whether you're having avocados, chicken and eggs, if you're not in that calorie deficit, you will not be consistently dropping body fat. Now, my goal today isn't to simply just to get you going for that calorie counting approach, but it's also to get you to understand what foods you're choosing and how that can work best to your advantage when utilizing calories. Now, obviously, when making food choices, you're going to have more nutrient dense options and less nutrient dense options. You're going to have more calorie dense options and less calorie dense options. And what we're trying to do is find a good balance of the two. And that's typically why I actually like to use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the foods that you're choosing are going to be more nutrient dense, they're going to be more high in protein and high in total food volume, and they're going to be more healthier whole food choices. However, that 20% can then be utilized for things that you actually want and things that you typically enjoy, but maybe they don't come with the highest nutritional value. However, the key point here is even if you're utilizing the 80-20 rule, they still stay within your calorie deficit target. Now, in my opinion, there are no good or bad foods when it comes to fat loss. It's just making smarter choices. Looking at foods which are going to keep you more energized, which are going to keep you fuller for longer, and ultimately going to bring more total enjoyment for you within this journey. So yes, we want to keep ultra-processed foods like the ice creams or the pizzas down to a minimum, but you also want to be aware of those calorie-dense, nutrient-dense options like the fat sources I spoke about earlier on. And regardless as to whether you have the ultra-processed or the more nutrient-dense options, that you're taking these both into consideration when it comes to your total calorie intake. Now, the goal here isn't to always be perfect, but it's to simply create awareness of your choices and making sure that those choices align with your goal. So making sure that your plate is going to be full of lean proteins, high voluminous foods, which are typically going to come from things like vegetables and fruits. You can still be inclusive of healthy fats, you can still be inclusive of carbs, and like I said, you can still even sprinkle on some of what you want on top of that. However, at the end of the day, it's making sure that they all come in with your calorie targets. Now, equally, making choices which are going to be more so based around whole foods is going to make your journey more sustainable. It's going to keep you full, your energy sustained, and therefore more consistently on track with your calorie targets, but also adding in some of the foods that you want, whether that's chocolate, whether that's sweets, or whether that's some alcohol on top. It's these choices which are also going to make your journey sustainable because it's going to make it seem less restrictive and more enjoyable. Now, most people may consider calorie tracking as something which can be a little bit more obsessive, but the goal here is to simply create awareness so you yourself can make better choices and ultimately do so knowing that it's going to be taking you a step closer towards your goals. Because right now, even though you're making better overall choices when it comes to your nutritional quality, you're still no better off when it comes to fat loss. So as I always say to my clients, you need to be stubborn with the goal, but flexible with your approach. So despite your current healthy efforts, if you're not seeing any downwards trends on the scales, or you're not seeing any fat come off the waist, maybe it's time to give calorie counting a go. And yes, initially it can be overwhelming and it can seem quite tedious, but give yourself 1 to 2 weeks to get yourself up to pace. And I guarantee you, not only will it make your weight loss journey that much more enjoyable, because it's going to allow for more flexibility in terms of your food choices, but because you're going to now be a lot more accurate with the calories going in, you will be seeing more fat loss results on a week-to-week basis. And if you need help kickstarting your calorie counting journey, head over to my Instagram page at TA Fitness Online and drop me a DM with the words MyFitnessPal, and I'll send you over my full MyFitnessPal guide to help you get kickstarted today. Hopefully you found that useful, guys. Again, as always, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.